Welcome back to... It's too hot. It's too hot. In less than 2 weeks' time, Arsenal return to Premier League action. Thank the heavens above. So, without further ado, I want to present to you the 3 players that I think will explode in 24-25. As in, do well at football, not spontaneously combust. 3 different players in 3 different positions for 3 different reasons. And, if you stick around to the end, I might have a little wild card for you. First up, Gabriel Jesus. This pre-season... Sorry, one sec.
I'm here to steal your personal data. What? You're browsing unencrypted. No! Everything you do on the internet, and I mean everything, is accessible to snoopers and trackers like me. Oh no, you don't!
Thank you so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Surfshark is a VPN that keeps you and your online data safe from online snoopers and hackers. But not just that, its thousands of servers means you can change your browsing location to watch football and TV shows in any country of your choosing, just like I do. Surfshark also helps to protect you from the dangers of public Wi-Fi. With 24/7 customer support and the ability to use the same account across multiple devices, you'd actually be mad not to. Check out the link in the description and use code TDK for an extra 4 months for free, all with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Keep the good baddies close and the bad baddies away. Thank you, Surfshark. Sorry, someone at the door. Where were we? This preseason, Jesus has looked sharper than he has for a long time. It was a tiny moment, but he made a run towards the beginning of the United game, and I went, "Ooh, hello." That Leicester at home pre-World Cup Jesus could be back. Jesus himself confirmed he's feeling good. Speaking to Arsenal.com after the United game, he said, "My last preseason was not good because I was feeling my knee, so I had to have surgery and missed all of the preseason. This season is different. Now I'm in different shape and can play football again." I must admit, I was initially shocked by recent reports from the reliable Team News and Ticks that some players at Arsenal believe Jesus is a top 5 number 9 in world football when fit. But Havertz has said in the past he views Jesus as the best number 9 he's ever played with, so maybe I shouldn't have been so shocked. If true, while this could be a case of players overrating their teammates, maybe we should trust what the professionals see on the training ground every day. There's clearly an extremely talented footballer there, if he can get his body in the right order, and it looks like he's doing just that. Although summer training with Neymar can't help, can it? I think it's widely accepted now that Jesus' time as our out-and-out number 9 is at an end. As I said in April 2023, humble brag, I didn't see him there long term, and now we found Havertz at centre forward and clearly we're after Šeško, I don't really think there's much doubt. So, to plot his path forward, let's try and get out of the rigid positional terms and get a sense again of what Gabriel Jesus can be. Is he Lewandowski in front of goal? No, and I don't think he ever will be. Is he Osimhen in the channels? No, he doesn't have the stride length. Is he Rafa Leão in creating separation from a standing start? You know where this is going now. I think, especially recently, judging him through the wrong lens has meant Arsenal fans miss what he does do, especially when he's below the physical level, which to me underpins everything technical he does. I've certainly been guilty of that in the past. We focus on that number on his back, wait for him to fulfill our traditional ideas of what that should be, and we're disappointed. If instead, this season, we can remind ourselves what Jesus is, a chaos dragon, someone who, when platformed correctly, can spin a defender and exploit space in behind, someone who can work in tight space, someone who, when his physical spring is there, can wriggle and bounce his way out of contact, actually more of a give-and-go combiner than he gets credit for. You then just ask where you want that on the pitch. Left 8? We're now seeing Jesus used on the wings more, and that's where I think he'll thrive this year. I think, especially if we sign another forward who can go through the middle, he might be our key to managing minutes for Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side. He has the one-on-one ability, the pace and the burst is absolute best, he has the technical level to receive and recycle out wide, and he can deliver cutbacks. I was also really impressed with him out of possession against Man City on the wing at the Etihad. But I also wonder whether we might start to see a partnership emerging between him and Kai Havertz. And that's when I can see him coming centrally. We sort of saw it against Liverpool. Could they be, as a pair, the more space invader-y version of Crouchy and Defoe? George, my boy on the Cannon podcast, always talks about seeing Havertz as the tip of the diamond potentially in this sort of setup behind a different type of centre-forward. But if we don't get a centre-forward this summer, Could Havertz and Jesus almost form a kind of strike partnership in possession? Both have the physical capacity to make centre-backs drop and can run in behind, but while they can get isolated when doing that alone, I think, working together, I think they could really confuse and split some defensive lines. Regardless, if he can stay fit, I think he can contribute across the front three this season and get tons of minutes. He's also probably the closest player we have in the squad right now to a moments player, someone who can force the issue. With the fire back in his belly, with the experience, and back at his physical best, I think this season he could remind us just how good he can be. The second, you knew it was coming, is Ethan Nwaneri. There is something so special about this kid. Is it just because he's homegrown, or is there something more? When a young player comes through, it's fascinating what we do as fans. I think we're trying to get our eyes adjusted. Is he a more physically robust Jack Wilshere? Is he a baby Modric? Is he a centre mid, a right wing, a false 9, a 10? All those questions will be answered in time, but what actually makes Nwaneri so good? First, I think he has all the attributes you need at the top level. Great technique, his usage of his body in the challenge is really good, such a strong core for his age, no real angle bias, slight preference for his left foot, but the right foot's still really strong. He can hit them as well. I think at the moment for me, Nwaneri does his best work closest to the box, and I'm not quite sure where I'd put him yet, but I don't think it's deep, which is probably where he'll end up later in his career. But what impresses me about him is his decision making. It's so positive and intelligent. It's the fearlessness of youth. Take his chance against United. The space here is actually out wide, but instead of heading into it, he wants to maximise it. He comes inside, looks for that ball back to him from Reece, which isn't red, but Ødegaard gets it to him eventually because that run is so positive and incisive. So many young players would run into that space and get locked down, but his usage of it is really good. Here against Bournemouth, he takes his man on the outside despite starting the action in this position. How many midfielders do we have who'd be willing to do this? You could argue, none. But then he shows the presence of mind to slow his tempo and execute a gorgeous reverse pass to Nketiah right into the channel, which Eddie should probably do better with. And for his assist in the United game, Ødegaard spots the idea as he brings himself back from an offside position. It's proactive, he's not taking 4 touches, it's head up, 1 touch, bang. Perfect execution into Jesus to slot home. I think he has a lot to offer us this season. One of my critiques of us in the final third at some points last season was that we lacked someone who I felt could force the issue. We're too facilitative, too associative, and maybe we need some youthful exuberance to change that. That third central midfield slot is there for the taking at the moment around Ødegaard and Rice, and I think Nwaneri might have at least some of the attributes we need to complement them as a pair. Where Ødegaard shows his best qualities knitting things together almost as an all-round 8, receiving deep and dropping out the block, Nwaneri looks to me at the moment to be the perfect complement. Someone who can receive higher, someone more direct, someone who will shoot, someone willing to carry. As a Venn diagram of skills in the midfield, it could be the perfect balance. And I think the Marino signing might tell us something about Nwaneri. He reads to me as more robust in the duel, but less front-footed, perhaps more facilitative for others than Nwaneri, and not blocking his path too much. I really do feel Ethan could clock up over 1,000 minutes this season, especially now Smith Rowe's gone to Fulham. Maybe not in starts, but affecting games late on. It's a talent that hits you in the face. Him and Miles are ready for me now, but I think Ethan's pathway appears a little bit clearer. Finally, might be a bit of a weird one, but stick with me, David Raya. While watching Carl Hein in pre-season, a thought struck me. Why don't I get you? I don't dislike him. Decent shot stopper, some lovely balls out to Havertz, pretty brave under pressure. Okay, some awry balls here and there, some dodgy moments, but you're working with a makeshift defence and you're young. So what is it? And I think it's because David Raya is just so good that that's what my eyes are used to now when looking at an Arsenal goalkeeper. So when we don't have that reference, something looks off, in the same way that the right-hand side never quite looks right without Bukayo Saka. I think David Raya will basically be about as good next season as he was last season. Maybe a little bit better. This isn't really about him exploding as a player necessarily. He'll probably keep that similar cross-claim percentage, that variety and build-up, as well as doing all the other great work on the restarts and so on. I do think another season of opportunities for big moments will allay any final doubts about his shot stopping and size, but that's something I've never had a concern about. The explosion I'm referring to here is the outside perception, outside of Arsenal. Right now I think he's seen as a decent keeper, but not in the realm of Ederson or ter Stegen and nowhere near an Alisson. And I think that will change. Goalkeepers are incredibly hard to analyse. If you get a chance, go and have a listen to goalie coach Neil Cutler on Ben Foster's podcast with Emi Martinez. At times, he may as well be speaking Greek. I have no idea what they're training half the time. Iñaki Kanya actually puts videos of his training sessions on his YouTube channel sometimes, and they're really interesting, but sometimes I'm like, what's going on? So for the goalkeeping layman like me, other non-technical factors start to matter a bit more when we're determining the perception of a goalkeeper. Moments like the shootout against Porto become incredibly important to define how good a goalkeeper is for many. And I think a number of other factors like that are going to converge to change the outside discourse around him. Firstly, last season, you couldn't even say David Raya without immediately comparing him to Aaron Ramsdale. He missed the first 4 games. He wasn't even an Arsenal player for the first one, then came into the team against Everton. The Arsenal fan culture wars were being fought so vociferously that it took till about February before everyone started going, wait, he's actually quite good, isn't he? And it was probably only towards the end of the season that the staunch Ramsdale fanboys started going, yeah, no, fair enough. This year, he'll have a fair crack of the whip from the start. And I think that'll really make a difference. This is all contingent on Mikel not signing another first-choice goalkeeper. It is a sickness. Second, I think the shape of the kind of goalkeeping power league in England is about to change. A lot of this is conjecture, sure, but Ederson seems to have half a foot out of the door at City. I don't trust Villa to compete on all fronts. I think Vicario is running hot, and I think Alisson will be perceived lower because Liverpool will inevitably go through some turmoil. But even if you don't agree with any of that, the goalkeeping hierarchy in the league is going to start moving away from Ederson and Alisson eventually. The Pep and Klopp era is coming to an end by definition. I don't think Raya will ever be seen as the best goalkeeper in the league by the mainstream media because he's not busy enough, but I think he will start to climb up those charts in terms of the overall outside perception. And finally, Arsenal's defence, already ridiculous, looks like it's going to get even better with the addition of Calafiori and the return of Jurrien Timber. We're also adding literally Europe's best dueler to our midfield. Raya will be in, theoretically, the best defence in Europe, and at some point the weight of golden gloves, clean sheets and stats will begin to infiltrate the conversation. With more stability, release from the shackles of the Ramsdale debate, with a better defence, another year in the job, hopefully another title race, a changing league and a new hairline, I think he'll be seen differently. I predict the outside noise to be, wow, look at David Raya, where was this last year? And I don't think he'll be that much better, but the conditions have changed. When I Google football goalkeepers, to be clear, I didn't write that heinous word there, I should see Raya's name, and I think I will soon. Okay, well that will... Oh, little bonus for you. Said 3, but here's 4. This one is contingent on something in the market, though, and I didn't want to ruin my thumbnail. Para 3 and all that. If we don't make a huge forward signing, Martinelli could be back this season. How many qualifiers do I want? And he could have the biggest explosion of the lot. I said this a few weeks ago, and I stand by it. It's a very small percentage chance situation, but there is a situation where I would be willing to let Martinelli go in this summer window. The conditions are... 1, I'd want more, but a £65 million or more bid, which would get me to a table, considering I'm not going to sell to a Premier League club. 2, we've signed a top talent in the forward areas. And 3, Mikel seems to be remodelling the attack. I love Martinelli, but say we signed Leao, I don't want to be sat here next summer with another year off the contract, after a year of Martinelli sat on the bench, forcing us all to make think pieces about how to get him in the team because we love him, having tanked the value. If we're moving on from him, sell at the right time. But in the box, he is a ruthless finisher. We saw that against United. Maybe our best finisher. If we can find the dynamics on that left-hand side to get him inside more now with Calafiori and Marino, who knows? I just have my doubts. I still think he needs a more powerful left foot overlap. I don't think Calafiori and Marino quite fix that in the way that people think. And I still think he needs more trust and more of the run of the central areas than we're willing to give him. If Mikel wants to platform him now in a way I can't yet see, he'll explode. The question is, will we? We didn't all last season, and there might be a reason. Mikel isn't stupid. I'm sure he knows that he wasn't platforming Martinelli properly. He will have known Martinelli wasn't at his best due to largely environmental factors, but didn't change it. Definitely one to watch. Okay, well that will do us. Let me know what you think down in the comments. 24-25 is shaping up to be pretty special. I just think we need one more big push in the market. But I have a feeling we might get it. If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon monthly, or you can buy us a coffee.